I think it was a great win for the Cowboys.
You want to talk about the Cowboys? What did last night tell you about Dallas?
I thought it was a great win for the Cowboys. I think these are the games that you need. There's like, when you're preparing for a marathon, you got to have days where you don't run hard, but you don't run effectively, but you run hard. And I think that's what they did. They didn't play their best game. They played in a very hostile environment. The situation was against them. Every time they make a play, there was a penalty to call it back. They couldn't get into a rhythm, but they fought their way to find a way to win. And I think these are the games that really make you battle tested for the playoffs. That was a playoff type game. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't well played in terms of the way we think we want a playoff game, because we want the playoff games to be 37-34, like the Redskin-Dallas game on Thanksgiving Day. This, to me, was a playoff atmosphere. This was a desperate team playing against a very good team. They knew they had their best shot, and I thought the Cowboys met the challenge, rose to the challenge, and found a way to win the game. I was impressed. Look, anytime you can walk off the field and say the Cowboy defense won the game, that's a huge statement to make.
Go ahead, Skip. But no, you're the one who thinks that last night exposed the Dallas Cowboys and gave everyone the blueprint for how to beat the Dallas Cowboys.
I always thought they were beatable, and for me, it starts with taking Zeke Elliott away. I'm going to take Zeke away, which I thought they did a very good job. And then Dak, they left the gate open a couple of times. They let Dak get outside. He got first downs with his legs, and then he found a couple of receivers down the field. You can close them off. I believe that every quarterback that they're going to face in the playoffs will be better than Sam Bradford. Would we agree with that?
I think every offensive line will be better than the offensive line of Minnesota. I think the downfall of that game was the Minnesota offensive line. I don't know. Bradford, look, he loves a check down better than anybody in America, but the reality was he couldn't really hold the ball very long. And it's difficult to throw the ball when you really have no confidence that your left tackle can protect, that your right tackle can protect, and that your center can block. So I think it's hard to criticize the quarterback because the offensive line really shuts down the offense.
It did. And the offensive line did make the Cowboys front four look like the old doomsday defense with Harvey Martin and Randy White and Ed Too Tall Jones.
I wouldn't go that far.
But they got pressure, Skip. They don't get pressure.
I'm not sure they got that much pressure.
You
really, I'm sitting back saying
Hill had to come in the game for some reason.
Yeah, but he still got the ball away. It was.
But those body punches did affect that. I think the body punches on Bradford affected him, and I think that was at least the first time the Dallas defense rose to the challenge and hit the quarterback.
First time they blitzed in like 6 weeks.
Well, because
you can't compromise the back end. That's why they don't blitz.
Because you had to blitz Bradford because he knows he has no time to throw the football. Right.
So, Mr. Lombardi, I told you yesterday I thought this would be the toughest defense that this team would face, this offense would face. You said Baltimore, and I said, well, at least it was at Jerry World, but I don't fear the Baltimore corners. And Xavier Rhodes showed me once again last night, he's becoming a premier corner in the league at 6'1", 220. He is strong enough, big enough, quick enough, and now savvy enough to match physicality with Dez Bryant. And Dez made a couple of plays. He made one, but it wasn't against Xavier Rhodes. It was on Harrison Smith on the pump and go. Yeah. And that was the one big throw that it was actually a better catch than a throw. But Dez did not take over the football game. And I told you that I didn't think Zeke would take over the football game on this night. And he did not. So this was their toughest test. This offense went 1 for 9 on third down. 1 for 9? Are you kidding me? And the one came on 3rd and 13 from their 13, and Dak just took off and ran and dived headlong, and it became a crucial turnaround play in the game because about 3 plays later, bombs away to Dez down to the 1-yard line to make it 7-3. Yes. But Dak ended up having to make plays with his legs more than his arm, and he often looked just overmatched. They had a hard time blocking the pass rush of the Vikings.
Right. I think a lot of that. Look, one of the regrets I have in my life was not to be a general manager of a dome stadium. I think it's a great balance and equalizer. I think it projects a better defense when you play at home than it does on the road. I think if you're the GM of a dome team, you should only evaluate your team outdoors, because what we saw last night was the crowd noise was part of the game. Yes. And it affected the Cowboys offense. Now, when you watch the tape of the game and you sit there and study the tape, guys are going to be wide open. But what you miss when you watch the tape is the sense of urgency in the quarterback, because the crowd noise is on top of you, and you got to get rid of the football, and you don't have time to look around. And then what I thought Linehan was doing was trying to keep more guys in to protect, and it was eliminating the routes tree, and they weren't able to balance them off. I think if they play the Vikings 10 times, they beat them 10 times. I don't think the Vikings are ever going to beat the Cowboys. And if they play them in Jerry World, they're going to score in the high 20s against them.
I would agree with that.
I think they're able to be more comfortable. But that place, those dome places, are a tough venue to play. And if you just try to evaluate what you did in the game off that, you're going to make some mistakes. And just like the Vikings can't evaluate their team just on the way they play at home.